Finally, Trump just implicated top Democratic senator in committing federal crime. Senator Richard Blumenthal had the decency to spread lies about Trump, but very soon learned that he had made a terrible mistake, as the president quickly responded by exposing Blumenthal's deepest, darkest secret, which happened to be a federal crime. Blumenthal claimed that he had a private conversation with Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Neil Gorsuch, in which Gorsuch criticized the president. But Judge Gorsuch immediately denied making any comments about Trump to Blumenthal. So Trump returned the favor by exposing Blumenthal for lying about serving in Vietnam while campaigning for office, and that violates the federal, quote, Stolen Valor Act, Trump tweeted. Senator Richard Blumenthal, who never fought in Vietnam when he said for years he had, major lie, now represents what Judge Gorsuch told him. According to the 2005 Stolen Valor Act, fraudulently claiming to be a recipient of certain military decorations or medals in order to obtain money, property, or other tangible benefits is a federal crime. After lying about serving in Vietnam several times while campaigning, Blumenthal got caught and was forced to apologize. He has already admitted to violating this law, so he could absolutely be charged. Watch Blumenthal telling these lies.
Move to the story on Connecticut. I want to play you two sound bites. This is the story about Dick Blumenthal, the state attorney general. The New York Times making an allegation that he has been misrepresenting his military service. They have we're going to play you two clips, one where he talks about serving in Vietnam and one where he makes a caveat about his time in the military. Take a listen.
We have learned something very important since the days that I served in Vietnam, and you exemplify it. Whatever we think about the war, whatever we call it, Afghanistan or Iraq, we owe our military men and women unconditional support. Serving in the United States military gave me a perspective as well, even in the reserves, although I did not serve in Vietnam.
Okay. Tom Davis, one clip's in 2008 where he said he served in Vietnam. One's in 2010 where he was very careful and almost, made sure as if he thought somebody was listening and he wanted to make sure he got it right. How damaging?
Yeah, it's serious. Although he's won several statewide races, he's been under the radar on a lot of personal attributes, and this is an unforgiving year. I think this is a serious hit.
Yeah, now,
how does he fix it?
Very interesting. The filing deadline is a week from today. Very interesting timing on this story.
You would say, if you were the Democrats, you would say, go find somebody else?
I'm not saying that right now. I'm saying very interesting timing about when the story appeared. That story didn't have to appear this week. The Times could have held it for another week or two. They chose to run it 7 days before the filing deadline. I think he's got serious trouble. He's got to explain it. Any of us who were of military age during Vietnam and who then ran for office had to be very careful about what we said. I used one line in my campaign literature, never, no more, no less. I said, Martin Frost served as an enlisted man for 6 years in the Army Reserves. That's all I ever said. And I think that any candidate of that age, of military age during Vietnam, better be damn careful about
what you think. No excuses here. You knew what you were saying. You were not saying you served in Vietnam.
That's right, and I made it very clear, very clear.
What did you say?
Never said
the same thing. I went longer than the 6 years because I needed the money. And I went to OCS, but very, very careful.
And it was clear you were making that you were not sitting there saying you were in Vietnam. And so, is this unforgiving?
I think it's unforgiving, and it's very hard to explain to people in this environment, particularly with Rob Simmons coming after you, who's a war hero.
We'll see how he explains this, how he handles it. But this is tough. It's going to be very hard, and the fact that the filing deadline has not yet passed makes a big difference.
So what would be plan B?
I don't know. I don't know who there are candidates out there. I mean, he's got to determine whether he's going to stay in the race. This guy may decide he's staying in the race. He doesn't care. He can handle this, and maybe he can.
Chris Murphy, the Democratic candidate,
He's a rising star in the Democratic Party. If I were Chris Murphy, I would look at this very carefully and make some calls.
It's a Democratic state. Very hard for Republicans to win this race.
Tom
That's
Davis
what you think.
Some sober analysis there for Richard Blumenthal. It's going to be an interesting news conference that we're expecting to see later today. Thank you both.
This was Blumenthal's apology a couple of years ago. On a few occasions I have misspoken about my service, and I regret that, and I take full responsibility. But Trump didn't stop there. He also called out CNN's Chris Cuomo for giving Blumenthal a pass on the issue and not asking him about the lie he had told more than once. Reports subject politics, the president said. Chris Cuomo, in his interview with Senator Blumenthal, never asked him about his long-term lie about his brave, quote, service in Vietnam. Fake news. What do you think about this? Let's just take a quick look watch President Trump slam Senator Blumenthal's Vietnam.
Thank you all for being here. We're going to have a good lunch, and we're going to talk about our Supreme Court nominee and somebody who will do a fantastic job for many years to come. And thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You misrepresented his comments.
I want to ask you what your thoughts were.
His comments were misrepresented, and what you should do is ask Senator Blumenthal about his Vietnam record that didn't exist after years of saying it did. So ask Senator Blumenthal about his Vietnam record. He misrepresented that just like he misrepresented Judge Gorsuch. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
There you have it, folks. Another Democratic liar. That shouldn't surprise us, right? Let us know what you think in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.